Raise the Roof Production.
Well, you'll never know the heartache of looking a grown man in the eye, and he asks, am I gonna make it? And you've got to lie. Well, they call me Doc, but I ain't got no degree. When shit hits the fan, they're calling for me. From bluegrass Kentucky, with red blood on my hands, nobody calls me hero except for my friends. Yeah, they call me Doc.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another edition of Sit Down with Doc. I'm your host, Rod Doc Walbeck, USH Navy Corpsman. As always, my blood brother, Joe Misfit Glenn, United States Army Combat Medic. Always in the back, Devil Dog Brian Roof. And I'm very, very happy to have this podcast today with this gentleman. I think it's very important for our veterans to know how hard people, even our civilian brothers and sisters, work so hard to try to help us get our rights and allow us to do the things that we want to do. I'd like to welcome to the show, Michael Plumhoff. Michael, how you doing, brother?
Outrageous. Awesome.
Michael's with DeSchedule.Earth, and they are after the government to do what's right for us. And we wanted to bring him on to help educate our brothers and sisters and the world of what's going on here in America with cannabis and our government and our politicians and our companies. And Michael is an expert at this, and I'm so glad to have you here, brother.
Well, thank you. Thank you. An expert or just a war dog, you know, and that's really what we're doing and so forth. And but it's an honor and a privilege to communicate, to network, and distribute together with such a strong veterans group that is actually responding back something versus nothing. So I got to really kind of throw that out there. Trying to network is really hard because of the me factors, the donation pits, the money pits, and so forth. You guys are not about that life, and it's about truth and freedom. And that's what you guys really bring to your audience and to the nation. And I really do appreciate getting here. Okay. How I got to DeSchedule.Earth with Jay West, I was a caregiver to a patient in Maryland. And with the caregiver license, you do not sign or agree to the ATF form 4473. Are you a marijuana card holder? Therefore, you cannot possess and you cannot purchase firearms. What? Disarmament in America through federal agencies? Yeah, folks, that's that language. Okay. So I read, you know, and I asked around and so forth. And I was like, I can go into a dispensary and shop for my patient, but am I breaking the law? Am I having people, you know, kick in my door? No. And we have to confront the lies of 55 years from 1970 and when cannabis got slapped on to the Controlled Substance Act only by special administrative action, not executive order, not bill law, and not constitutional amendment. That is huge, folks. So from helping patients in Maryland and so forth, and I actually moved out to West Virginia, and they still kept my license valid because I wasn't causing any problems. I was doing good things, and my weight or traffic wasn't excessive and so forth. So I think that was a little unique because even in the bureaucracy in the public sector, they still had my Maryland address, but it didn't, infringe me or stop me from making purchases. And that's just interesting on how that went down. And then what got me interested in with DeSchedule.Earth was prior to the January 29, 2024 letter. And I call that the Warren letter, or the 12 blue senators. So, folks, just a year ago, 12 blue senators said deschedule, not reschedule. And they sent a letter to the executive branches of Attorney General and DEA. Okay, so to me, that was the precedent. That was the case. And if I had 12 blue senators saying, deschedule, let's get after it. That's the mission. Okay. Then in April, Biden admin pushed more towards reschedule. Oh, no. He's going against his own party. He's going against, he got paid off, was allegedly or speculatively. Okay. The money's the money with Big Pharma. But how do you have 12 blue senators and then the commander-in-chief, the executive branch, say, no, we're going to go through descheduling? And to me, that was the trigger. I got them. They're hooked. That I knew that either January 29th was pandering, political theater, or it was a breach, or it was a break in thought. And so, adapt, improvise, and survive. I took that and I was like, either it is pandering in political theater and I'm going to shame them on it, or I'm going to show people this break. So then, as I wanted to do a documentary, and then I got involved in the really toxic cannabis industry, cannabis community, veteran circles, and I was getting no love, no support, and money this and money that, and such. So the documentary was really just trying to explain all this and let people be aware on how did cannabis become illegal. A lot of people still, don't know it was a simple administrative action during the Vietnam War fatigue. Okay. So that's why the veterans are really important. With alcohol in 1919, they needed a constitutional amendment to ban alcohol to break the farmers for their energy, not public drunkenness. And 11 years later, after the farmers' ability to make their own bio alcohol or biodiesel, they switched it back on. Hello, look it up. Do your own research on that. But 11 years, and then they switched it back on. But what was?
Yeah, go ahead. You can drink now. Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
So we lost the energy, the independence, the freedom that I keep on going after, and being able to have my own seeds in my own yard or friend's property to produce biodiesel. Hello, we're on to you. Okay. So then the hearing for December 2nd, 2024 was mentioned, and everybody was getting excited about that. I would go to vets groups. No. We're going to the hearing. We're going to the hearing. And I was like, are you sure? Is it going to do any good? Okay, I'll see my way out. Thanks a lot. And I was noticing a pattern that people were really just assimilated, conditioned, and programmed. They wanted to follow
Slowly.
Yes. So they were believing in this kangaroo court in Arlington, Virginia was going to be their chance to have a say, and the government's going to listen to them. Did they? Okay, so then on Halloween, okay, October 31st, the canceled and the postponed was announced through marijuana movement and other green media and so forth. So DEA, administrative law judge, says we're going to postpone this. And I was like, aha, my point was proven. This is limbo. This is a distraction. They're not going to do anything in the lower court system. We, the people, need to host our own hearing and collect testimony and evidence. Because if you're incompetent or if you're jerking us around, the farmers, the merchants, and so forth are going to host our own hearing. Okay. And so we did just that. On November 30th, we had 9 speakers. We wanted to have 24 because there was 25 speakers that were hand selected by DEA that took 3 months of time. This is factual evidence. The federal government was going to take 3 months to host 25 selected witnesses. We said 1 day. 20 minutes, like a comedy. Give me your best tight 20, right? Okay, if you're funny, if you're smart, I'm going to know it in 20 minutes. Okay, this is not about fame or fortune, and it's about listening to people and connecting the dots. So we did that.
So it leads me to a question. Is it for you, Michael? Is this just a freedom fight for you? You just pick something because they infringe on our rights all the time. Why you? Why cannabis? Why veterans? Why now?
Okay.
What is it more than just being a freedom fighter? Is there something inside that says what is your inside initiative to do this? What propels you to stick with this and stay with us?
I'm gonna say it's two libertarian guys, no girl, and a website is a joke. Okay, so both Jay and I've worked on national campaigns. We freedom in truth. Okay, so but cannabis is an SI, single issue special interest. So we know that is tip of spear. And so if you can penetrate the liars, the abusers, the payoffs and so forth with one thing, then we can bring this momentum and so forth with something else. That's a hard sell because everybody's me, and all over the place. But that is sort of like, it's more than just cannabis. It's more than just truth and freedom. It's a correction. It is tip of spear correction. Not rebellion.
Correcting a wrong.
Yep. And so
gotcha.
that's the passion behind this and so forth. So after they canceled the hearing, wrapping up with that, and so forth. So then they pushed it to January 21st. We hosted a action alert to train people on how to contact, phone, fax, email per se. And it's an hour and 18 minutes of video that's on our site and so forth. We also had networking. Again, why am I before you? We're networking. We have Joseph Tully of Redding, California, who gave anybody who wants it equal protection motion. When was the last time a lawyer gave you anything for free, right? But that's who we're networking with. That's who we're in. That's who we're rubbing elbows or who we're talking to and respecting one another. So we have the equal protection motion, just like oregano essential oil, cannabis essential oil. They're equal. And so the more judicial branch cases we bring, they're going to have to wrestle with this argument and so forth and get cases dismissed and so forth. So just wrapping up with the how this all kind of came about in being able to foresee the wickedness of the jerk around of this hearing. So then
how deep they're gonna go.
January 13th hit of this year, folks, and then that's when they said it's canceled. You little stoners, you little
They
hippies.
won't even hear you.
We won't go to January 21st. We took it off schedule because what are you going to do? Okay, so that is the ability to see the manipulation. The hearing isn't going to do much. The hearing doesn't happen. Hello? Okay. So that's when people start really deciding, who am I going to work with? Am I going to believe daddy government is going to fix his wrongs and so forth? Or am I going to deal with the patriots and the people that believe in liberty? And we're going to start listening and doing action alerts and challenging oath of offices. Okay. And that's the kind of work that we're working on. So that's the past and where we are today, that there's no hearing, folks. Wake up. Okay. They took it away from you and it was meaningless to begin with, but the private sector hosted their own hearing. The private sector is still recording more and more testimonials and so forth.
Well, the truth is, and what I want our listeners and my brothers and sisters to hear, our brothers and sisters to hear, is that number one, the only way you can get heard by these people is you got to submit shit through the courts, and you got to fight your right to get. You have to fight for your right to tell what you want to say, right? For them to hear you. Then they conspire to not hear you. So they're conspiring against us as Americans and as veterans to hold this up and not admit what they've done. Hey, do what you did with the UFOs. Change the name and admit you were wrong. All right, let's carry on. Change the name of it. Give us a right to grow plants to save our lives, and stop conspiring against us.
Yes. And it's going through the three branches, okay, instead of the legislative branch. And with your past guest and one of our witnesses, Heidi Grossman-Lee, she's 29 now of dismissals. Okay,
she was on our show.
Yes. And she helped, facilitate this interview podcast, and greatly appreciative of her and what she's done, regardless what the media has said about her and what the old California cliques, say about her and so forth. We're a lot of the times we're fighting one another and we're beating each other up. And DeSchedule.Earth is a website to read and watch and get in the mindset of executive and then legislative and then judicial. All three need to be approached, and we cross-strap them and so forth. And we make sure that they know that we contacted to two other branches and so forth. So do you want me to go into the 4 reasons?
Absolutely.
Okay. So,
Absolutely.
folks, the old days of getting high are over with. Okay. We know that 1970 happened, and we know 1919 happened. And I wasn't around then, but the evidence shows they made alcohol illegal for energy. Okay, so we need to kind of get back on our own personal creation of biodiesel and energy, and not say THC 3%, 0.3, etc. No, it's a plant. I'm not cooking it down and so forth. You've been caught. It's been 55 years. This is the correction. Okay, so we really are going with energy being the biodiesel, the carbon credit, the carbon crop, and so forth. Look at the taxes from the 80s, environmental change, whatever. Wait a second. How come you're not letting America have the ability to grow the carbon credit and the carbon crop freely? Canada's doing it in 2018. The United Nations in 2021 took it off Schedule 4. Make this make sense, because the math is not mathing. You want to keep on taxing people, but you're preventing one of the largest and productive farming countries in the world, the United States of America to grow hemp. Yes, it's hemp, it's cannabis, low THC, high THC. Quit trying to confuse people about it. Just get it descheduled. Then the feds lose the federal money to enforce it. That's what this is all about, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Follow the money, son.
100%.
Okay. So that's one of the 4 reasons is energy. Then food. 2/3 of the USDA budget is ZBT. Well, if you could grow cannabis and have your protein powder, your butter, and your juice, and everybody celebrate that, in the freeness of giving, bags back and forth with flour is one thing. Could you imagine? Hey, here's a quart of protein powder and so forth. So you go into the desert islands or the oases or the food deserts of the city, Detroit, Chicago, Baltimore, and so forth. Well, if we could make our own protein, butter, and juice and grow it off the land and get rid of this oppression and abuse of power and so forth, we just cut budget. And no one's talking about cutting budget. Everything's getting more expensive and so forth. And with one, stroke of the, with one special administrative action, because it got on by that way, get it off and have this conversation with other people. Okay. Then it becomes food. And we are looking to push USDA to do studies in the biofeed, being the cows, the chickens, and the pigs. If they get 144 cannabinoids, you get 144 cannabinoids, meaning that we are protecting the food chain, the food cycle. And that's why we want to have it descheduled. So we do have cannabis in our chicken, pork, sheep, etc. Okay, so that's the second reason. Then we all know the medical reason, and it's whole plant medicine. Okay, so if you're talking with enforcers, executives, law officers, if you're talking with legislators, and you're talking with judges, it is whole plant medicine. Stop lying to us and using the word marijuana. That's a Mexican word in their Farmer's Almanac. Cannabis was first in the English Oxford Dictionary of 1548. Quit treating us like stupids, okay? Because every time I see marijuana, it's normally on a cannabis industry site, or it's mostly on public sector. They're holding on to that, baby, and they're going to just keep on treating you stupid. And every time you check them, every time you challenge them, it is not marijuana. Cut it out. You're better than that, or I'm challenging you to grow up and use the 1548 word. Oh, that's going to upset us up with people. And the lobbyists, why is it called normal? Why is it marijuana policy project? Come on, folks. Let's kind of have a name change, right? The last 4 years was, play with silly names. Let's kind of get back to cannabis name change, and see how many people that's going to excite. So that is the whole plant medicine. Okay. Now the dastardly thing is really the 2012 Colorado, and that created the R word, recreational. Cannabis is not recreational. We just know and for a fact it has 144 cannabinoids. The human body has 150. So it's health and wellness. That is divide and rule from Rome. They wanted to divide and rule us. So that's why they created the word recreational. And that's why all the politicians, go after that. And then from recreational, then you have the CEI, concentrates, traits, extracts, and isolates. Cannabis wasn't meant to be this hot and heavy, okay? In Mexico, where we have friends and so forth, I don't want your Yankee weed. It's too strong, okay? But Hollywood and politicians in money, commerce is pushing the R word on us. Okay, folks? So this is where it gets really serious, is where we push off and say, I don't want it that heavy. I want to grow it my own. Thank you very much. And you can have your glitter bomb and so forth in the high 20s, and you're good. But that is what we have to come together as veterans and or the veteran community, activists, and so forth, is to acknowledge the 4 reasons. Okay, so we have energy, carbon credits, we have food, we have whole plant medicine. Then it's the counter, it's the backlash of the R word. And anytime anybody mentions the R word, it's time to get excited and get in their grill. Why are you using the R word? You're going to fly around the M word? Oh, why don't we just use the N word? And you're making people think, and there's no relationship except for divide and rule. Now, people are going to take, a little bit of time to kind of study that, but we're dealing with oppression. We're dealing with, weapons that are being used upon us and so forth. And we got to kind of talk.
This is way bigger than just cannabis to deschedule. This is
You got it.
I mean, that's just one of the things on it of the big picture.
Right.
The fact that they won't let us do hemp and stuff, controlling us so that they can control the biofuels and the energy. Well, yeah, it makes sense. That's called, name it. It's wrong.
It's monopoly. It's monopoly to oligopoly. And you think when
they are, man?
Alcohol in 1930, there was hundreds of people producing alcohol before Prohibition. But then it gets down to there were 3 major people. You look at R.J. Reynolds and the tobacco companies and so forth. And once it was publicly determined this stuff are cancer sticks, it kills you, then they get into food. And not just alcohol, but they get into food and with the high fructose corn syrup and so forth and such, getting that dependency. Everything is dependency. And when you can grow your own whatever, 6, in DC, 6 plants, in then Hawaii, recreational, non-felony, 24 plants, etc. Nevada, 12 plants, but Nevada, there's the Halo law where you can't home grow 25 miles from a dispensary. So when I went to school, that's called Sherman Antitrust Act. When you put controls to monitor business that are unfair, and then we get into that equal protection clause. So folks, the law is there. The videos have been made and so forth. It's the community. It's the buddy system, the battle buddy. Hey, did you watch any of that stuff? I haven't gotten to it. Well, when you get into it, and that's where we feel at DeSchedule.Earth, okay, that we can partner or just promote it with the veterans, the 17 million that are on census, to that magical million, okay? And it's help getting the message. You don't see a donate button, okay? We are a private collective trust and so forth. So we're not a, go ahead. Or
I was just going to ask, we as veterans, I'm always going to speak in that term. We as veterans see a lot of these things happening. We'll hear bits and pieces of how they're trying to control us to not have this plant back, right? We hear about it. We always say, well, what can we do? That's just fucking the way they do it. And there's no fighting it. They put out too many roadblocks over and over and just keep beating you away from what you want, right? The right thing, right? So my question to you is, maybe it's the last minute, it should be at the end of the show. What can the everyday veteran do? One small thing, 2 small, 3 small things. Pick up a phone, call this, join this group, donate cash, whatever it might be. What can veterans do instead of sitting here going, we'll never win. What can they do to help win?
Thank you. By being in battle buddy, that's the first thing. Okay, stop the isolation and so forth, and really trying to engage in. So if you're doing that, then break down DeSchedule.Earth and read and watch. Okay, so get caught up on the course material and so forth, and share that, network, distribute it. Then you guys are doing the finest job ever, okay, within the veterans community, because we're here and now, we're doing it, and it's really important. But from there, then we get into action alerts. An action alert is an actual sheet of paper that identifies who you're talking to. We ask Tuesdays and Thursdays. Doesn't have to be a certain hour. Everybody's busy, but we develop frequency, or we develop spike in activity. So when politicians are not in their office on Monday or Friday, we're not burning that candle. We're not burning that daylight. We hit them on Tuesdays. We re-hit them on Thursdays. And when I hit, I mean by contact. Okay. So
clarify, please.
Yeah. All right. Woo. Okay. So that's the important part of. Wait a second. Those guys want 30 minutes of my life. They want 4 hours a month. Who do they think? Wait a second. That's the littlest amount of time. It's organized. It's structured. They have a mission and they have operations. And that's why we're coming to the veteran community and so forth. There was Operation Green Harvest out in Hawaii, dropping chemicals on the open cannabis fields of the population. Okay. And glyphosate, diesel, and a marking dye. Roger Christie documents that, and he's on our website. So that's the one thing. Roger Christie was Army as well. And we have the Operation Green Harvest, 200-page report on it. We also have the meth report on it. So by getting familiar is the key thing, sort of like basic training, right? We got to get people through basic, then we can go to advanced individual training and so forth. And those advanced individual trainings might be marketing or events and so forth. But if we don't run you through basic and you don't know this stuff and you can't share this stuff, what good are you going to be, right? And it's no disrespect. It's just same page, is what we constantly promote. And then, folks, there's agents out there. Let's have that hot talk, okay? There are people within the cannabis industry, within the canna community, that want to derail us, that are getting paid by Soros. George Soros got one of the highest medals a civilian could get.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's the highest award the president can give a civilian.
Yes, and that's Drug Policy Alliance, folks. New York City, okay? DPA. And so forth. So before we're not saying we're the GOAT, none of that childish stuff. We are truth and freedom, and if you can counter anything that we produce, we use Rick and Morty. Show me what you got. If you got something better, show us. But if not, work with us. And you notice I didn't say join this group. This is a networking thing. Okay, we're not asking you to just get under our clubhouse. No, that's not what this is about. It's, did you read? Did you watch? Do you have questions? Are you ready to multiply and get other people? So that is what the veterans can do. Is we're going to talk more about our work with veterans and so forth. So did you want to go ahead and put up or shut up, right? Or like with Full Metal Jacket, you walk the walk, or you could talk the talk, but can you walk the walk and so forth? And we believe we are doing that. And so with that being said, listen to your fellow veterans. So did you want to go ahead and read out what Jeff had?
Yeah, I'm going to read a spot after the break, I guess. Is that right,
okay,
guys?
Break.
I want our listeners to hear this. I'm just going to do a small piece of this story. It will entice you to go to DeSchedule.Earth, find this story, and read this story completely through. Okay. Uh, Here's what I'm really bummed about. Our veterans went to war. They fought for this country. They did whatever they were asked of. They had a war to fight. They come home. They got a war to fight with the VA and prescription drugs, and so now the war has changed. I don't want to say war against our government, but their actions are making them the enemy. You're making yourself the enemy to us. You know, what do? Go to war.
Right, and
The right way. The
the right
way.
way. It's really the Y tackle 6 is football for a rush, right? So it is the executive branch, legislative branch, judicial branch. Tell me another veterans group that has ever said, use the SEAL trident. We have to poke, okay, or we have to advance with the SEAL trident, and we have to go executive, legislative, and judicial. We have some of the boomers and the Xers, we remember Schoolhouse Rock and so forth, and we know the branches of government pretty good. And we're kind of looking, before you leave this earth, help right a 55-year wrong, okay, and help with the tip of spear, okay, then we believe all this other stuff will get squashed or will be disrupted. We can't
We,
end.
we have to make them sick of freaking hearing from us.
Well, they got to represent us, and it kind of goes back to why do we have two parties? And I'm not pushing for the LP. I'm pushing for something. As Washington and his departure address, he's like, nay, don't have two parties. You're going to get whipped, and so forth. But it's really, what we can do is we can talk. We can action alert. That's what it is. It's call, fax, email. Well, no one has fax machines. It's called eFax, Skippy. Okay, we'll get you trained up on it. Okay, but here's the thing: the government has facsimiles. If you look at it, okay. Oh, but it just has the contact form. Yeah, we're not going to get to Elizabeth Warren. We're going to get to the other Elizabeth, known as her chief of staff. Okay, so that is the person to keep the talking head aware of things. And are the chief of staff's emails direct emails versus contact forms available? Public information, yes. So that's the level we're thinking, and it's not doom and gloom. It's Operation Hawaii, Operation Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, because of activity going on in these theaters or these hotspots, and we're bringing it up to attention. And the key thing is let me just wrap up with this: is you have, because I want people to see that we do have a plan, and there is no donate button, and there is no join us button. Okay,
Right.
There is work to do, and the work is why can't we have the southeast corner get it together? Georgia, Florida, Alabama. Okay, why can't we get
Carolinas,
the southwest corner? Nevada, Arizona, Utah. Okay, because we know California's a hot dumpster fire to begin with, okay? And they had 8 years with Obama and 4 years with Biden. And did we see any deschedule? No. Okay.
not a word.
Money.
Not a word.
It's all money, folks. And that's what we're bringing here. And then you have the Great Lakes, okay? Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and so forth. So it's like focus on that. And lastly, Maine is helping Hawaii. Maine has one of the best medical cannabis laws in force, not bill, law. Okay. So then Jason Hanley from Care Wailua Farms is using that this session, and in February 5th, That's an action alert, folks. Okay, is to make sure the mainland is helping its really, its 50th state that is being abused by authoritarian blue rule. Okay, I said it. And if you look at the Democrats out there, Hawaii is the most restricted and so forth. Where is the Constitution carry of Hawaii, right? That needs to change around, because if we get Constitution carry, yeah, people are going to be acting more civilized, and everybody knows how that song goes. Okay, so that's the one thing I wanted to say, that back again with tip of spear, deschedule cannabis, one job, because we're taking the money away from the Federalist to enforce. Okay, go after all that other stuff, but leave cannabis alone. Let it go, just like frozen. Okay, so
Yes.
once we get that money off of it and so forth, then people, can communicate and enjoy a session. Then the creativity, the freedom. When every time they have cannabis being illegal, they are suppressing our truth and freedom. Okay.
Yep.
And the freedom is to create music, to do drawings, whatever. Okay. Or to work as a political, or to work as a private citizen lobbyist. That's my thing. Right. So you ask me what's fueling me here and so forth. PCL, because that's the scariest word you could say to a politician. Who are you with? I'm sorry, I'm a private citizen lobbyist. Okay? So that's why we're really big on decentralize and not join me, look at me, what I did, and so forth. It's decentralized missions and operations. So that's really what we got going on, and we're asking you to be a part of it and to audit it. And we love that A word, okay? Audit, investigate us, give us a report back. We challenge you. We dare, triple dog dare, tell us we're messing up and so forth. How many nonprofits or, groups say that these days?
Right on. Okay, so let's do that break, and we'll talk, show some vets doing good things, and then when we come back, I'll read a little something I think the listeners should really hear very much.
Welcome to Veteran Voice Radio, where we honor the brave and celebrate their stories through music. Tune in to two incredible stations, Ranger Rockwave and Simplified Country. On Ranger Rockwave, experience the raw energy of alternative rock featuring talented musicians who are veterans and military family members. Their powerful stories and unforgettable tunes will inspire you and keep you rocking. Switch over to Simplified Country, where the heart of country music meets the spirit of service. Enjoy heartfelt ballads and toe-tapping tunes from veterans and their families sharing their journey through song. Join a community that honors those who serve. Veteran Voice Radio, music with a mission. Discover Ranger Rockwave and Simplified Country at veteranvoiceradio.com, or you can also download the app on Apple or Google and let the stories of our heroes resonate through your speakers.
And we're back. We are. You guys can't see me, but I'm going to read this to y'all about a fellow Navy veteran. His name is Jeff Krasniak. His biography. On what started as a wonderful day with my son, we visited the Shadow Ridge Fossil Farm before heading home to prepare for a T-ball game. On our way home, a man not wearing his seatbelt ran a red light, and I T-boned his vehicle. He lost his life that day. My son and I were transported to the hospital, and thankfully we were physically unharmed, aside from whiplash and burns from the airbags. I was honest with the law enforcement, admitting I was a medical cannabis patient who last medicated the night before. I volunteered for a blood test, and despite passing 3 field sobriety tests, an officer obtained a search warrant for additional blood analysis. 32 days later, a SWAT team burst into my home, arrested me for felony DUI death and child endangerment. My bail was set at $250,000, and I was labeled a danger to society. After 6 months in jail, my bail was reduced, and I was finally released, but my savings was gone, my reputation shattered, and my life in ruins. Despite multiple testimonies from officers stating I showed no signs of impairment, Nevada's per se DUID laws meant I was under the influence simply because I had THC in my blood. I was coerced into taking a plea deal under the Alford Doctrine, acknowledging felony reckless driving and a misdemeanor DUI simply to avoid an even harsher fate. That is why DeSchedule.Earth is doing what they're doing, and so many other patriots in America. And we need, as veterans, we need to understand the gravity of this. This is the war on drugs was a war on us. And I'm just thankful that you're fighting a good fight. And I want all veterans to know that you guys are doing that and can help in any way possible to get our rights back, to grow some plants, to take care of ourselves. Minimum. But of course, the whole control, the whole big picture. But if we get the only way to get it is to get the big picture. And then we'll have what we want. So we got to fight.
Got to get organized. And thank you for reading Jeff's. Right there, we saw malicious prosecution to plea deal. We have hundreds of cases like that. And that's where the executive branch, the enforcement side, is using its tools to punish crime and punishment. Okay. $250,000 bond for 6 months. Then it got dropped to 20,000. Jeff was thrown through like 3 different court systems, and the saltwater cowboy talks about diesel theory, to where he was transported for 9 months to different prisons and didn't know where he was. That's the exposure, okay? And that's why we host and have a profile page and a video and so forth. And yes, we're on Rumble because YouTube is not going to give us that type of freedom in truth, okay? Facts. We're not on any obscure BitChute, Liber, Odyssey. Okay, we're on the Canadians. Rumble is so forth. So we just are looking for more veterans to testify, because if we make this big enough with the private sector, what do you think the lobbyists and the lobbyists, I said, okay, the people that took our money and did nothing with it. So this is proof and pudding, or show up and do something, get the lobbyists that wave the cannabis flag and be like, where's your deschedule work? Reschedule, unless you've been living under a rock, they took that away from us. They had us hype and believe from April to January of the next year. If you can't cognitively process, get a battle buddy. Okay, they kept on pushing it, and they just stretched it out. So that's Jeff's story, and just Melissa's prosecution to plea deal, and then with Roger Christie, that's also on our website, 96 Bravo military intelligence, and he talks about MK Naomi, not Ultra, and through that you have chemical agents based on race and so forth. Look up MK Naomi, and he sued the Army first and got out under conscious objector because he didn't want to do MI work with biological agents. And he was threatened with 320 years in Hawaii.
Jesus.
Bro, and so forth. And Ross, from Silk Road just got pardoned and so forth. So we're seeing some action, we're seeing some movement, and so forth. And that's where we need to kind of, I see this, I want that. Why are you prohibiting it? Are you profiting from it? That's where we as citizens have the right to ask elected officials, are you conflict out? That's the polite term. Okay. Are you conflicted? Are you corrupt? Are you being extorted? And that's the other thing. Once we open up state-sponsored extortion, we got Nevada that is dismissed a case, and we're chasing $40,000 in cash and $60,000 in product, and so forth. Would Tony ever see that again? I don't think so. We got Jason, a year and a half into this, hasn't been arrested, hasn't been charged, but seizure was $3.5 million of cannabis product off of his farm. Are we going to see any of that money coming back? I don't think so. And when the Homeland Security agent said, and notice that wasn't, and that's the whole reason why we're talking here, folks, is when you deschedule, get this through your beautiful, beautiful mind. When you deschedule, you take money away from the feds to enforce it. That's what they don't want.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
Again, yes.
Security said, don't push it or you're going to get arrested. So we are witnessing state-sponsored extortion. And we have cases on top of cases on top of cases. It ran through California crazy. But the important thing is bring us your stories. Let's get it docked and clocked. Okay. And the more evidence we have, and don't be a no-show, no-call, okay? And that's people that I want to do something, and then you're like, okay, we're taping, blah blah blah. Hello.
Commit or don't.
Yes, pull through. That's what we're saying is, and it really hurt me. And I'm saying this. I'm a Marine woman, right? Okay, we don't have that many women that are picking up the testimony, but you've been asked, and you will keep on being asked. But show up for your appointments too. Okay, so that's what we're saying is we need testimony, and then we need action alerts. That 30 minutes on Tuesdays and Thursdays to get to the home grow, and then if you are not trafficking, pushing weight, why would they bother you? Why would they come to your house and kick in a door? You got to get involved in this criminal activity to be a criminal. But if you want to grow, you are a veteran that knows right and wrong. You know what the military thought of cannabis and so forth, and they're peeling it off a little bit, but you still are a stand-up person. And that's why you're waiting for the green light, deschedule on the federal level. And then if you're not, moving dime bags and so forth, if you're just taking care of your needs, why would they ever kick in your door? They wouldn't. And that is the true story on veteran home grow. Get your grow circle, chip in supplies, and so forth. I can't grow at my place. Okay, well, do you have some money for fertilizer and so forth? So I'm just trying to reiterate that we have three we'll have 4 veterans testimony, but we want more because we believe, we get it, that it's through the 17 million to the 1 million veterans who pull it together and don't say this group, that group. It's the mission. And that's why I wanted to be on here, because you asked Heidi last time saying veterans need a mission. Hello, here's the mission. Mission is deschedule. The operations of that is action alerts. Will you help us? And that's the best way I can package that up.
Let me ask you this question. If this is for, and I hate this, the civilian sector, and I think our veterans will understand this question. Can you understand why veterans are hesitant to mess with the federal government?
Oh, of course. First of all,
we've already fought wars, and now we got to go fight you guys that sent us. We're done with the fight. Kind of. I think that's what I see in veterans, like we did our fighting. We shouldn't have to come home and do it again. Just so I can medicate myself and take care of me and my family, so I can be a good dad, a good husband, a good wife, a good mom. The fuck?
Well, that's how wicked, when you think of oppressors, divide and rule and so forth, there's just that evil. It really becomes an evil element and so forth. And we live and breathe Star Wars, good and evil, white and black, light and dark, and so forth. And, all I can really do is just say that this is about control and freedom. This is
The
not
people with power and money.
Yeah, 55 years, they just said no go. And oh, Colorado did this. Oh, but they call it recreational, but we're at 47 states have some kind of medical, okay? 47 states. We're past the 2/3 mark. That is constitutional amendment time, but nobody's talking about that, okay? Because it jeopardizes or it interferes with the money and it interferes with the political career. But we're not politicians. We're private citizen lobbyists. And so we can say 2/3, let's get it on a constitutional amendment. We don't want that, and so forth.
That's what they say. Politicians are like squirrels. They're always trying to get their nut,
Yeah. And
their piece of the pie.
Fear. Okay. Fear is so important in like with that malicious prosecution to plea deal. They made it illegal. Nixon. Okay. Look, we have the White House tapes and so forth to control the blacks and the browns and the dirty hippies. And, through private conversations, was UC Berkeley hippies selling cannabis to financially support another candidate? And what it goes to is the fear. Let's really understand the fear and so forth. They're making it a baddie, okay, and that's why you have those high percentages, the concentrates, extracts, and isolates, and so forth. They couldn't make regular home grow bad enough. So they had to create recreational and get doofuses really jacking it up, and then create the artificial cannabis diagnosis. It's like it was the only box to check: either go to jail or admit that you got an addiction with cannabis. I think I got an addiction to cannabis because I ain't going inside. Okay, come on. So no one's explaining and showing the manipulation, and it's the fear of imprisonment. And in Dallas, in Texas, is they have like 6% THC level on the compassionate care. Any caregiver would look at that and say it's dog water, trash, garbage, as the kids say. So, where I'm going with this is, yes, you fought for freedom and truth. And we're trying not to fight for commerce. We're trying to fight for self-medication. We're trying to fight for inclusion. What happens, man, if I get high? You get creative. You get social, okay? But you get social in somebody's or some gal's house. You don't have to take it to the bars and so forth. And then with it being that level of creation, then you're going to have a better network, and hopefully we can disrupt the suicides. That's a key portion, and I'm not harping in or selling into it because the veteran communities, let me say this, the veteran communities, okay, the 52 I had on my list that I tried to contact, you guys have been abused and looked at as money bags or for some kind of special interest, okay? So it's a fine line that I come to you asking for your help and showing you what we have done in the past and merge together or really work together versus vet this, vet that, because you folks have been abused and so forth. So we're trying to stop that or disrupt.
We wore out our their need for us, and then we get home and we're just scraps now. That's the way veterans feel. You know, you took the best years of my life, you fucked me up. I come home and go fuck off. I hate to be that profanity, but what else are we looking at? You know, what else are we looking at, guys? That's what they do. Our usefulness is worn off. Now we're not useful anymore. Peanuts. And look, the everyday veteran, they love the fact of doing all these big things, the deschedule, all these people fighting the law, fighting these people. We just want a few plants. Then we hope the whole industry and the whole America and we all do better from that descheduling. But deep down, we just want to grow our own medicine and be left alone. And that's if what you're doing is going to create that, we should help you fight, brother.
I hope I've been clear, because if you're not trafficking, if you're not pushing weight, that's called the cannabis industry. Right. We come from the canna community, home grow. Okay, so we are really trying to achieve that one goal and educate people. Hey, did you barter a side of beef from your last grow? You know, get it to that level of bartering and not even getting involved in cash transfers and so forth, or getting to grow circles and really offering seed exchanges and such. So that is the end game, because again, we know the law, and if I'm trafficking and so forth, and if I'm not paying the taxes that they keep on talking about, you know, it's like, well, wait a second, if you deschedule, what do you got to do in my living room? Right?
Right.
And that's the level we want to get. So then one state's gonna, so we're trying to get everybody around that kind of basic concept. Why deschedule federal is so important, that it takes the money, it takes the fight out of the states and the federal government, because the 47 states that have some kind of program, they're going to be scrambling to say, how can we tax this? How can we, you know, still keep it alive? But they took the Federalists. That's the crutch that everything is held on. And if we can knock, you know, sweep it, if we can take the legs out of deschedule, you know, or out of the federal government, then the states can't say, bad, because they have precedent. They have a case and so forth that they said it was good. So that's why the focus needs to be on deschedule federally. So then let me grow. And then Johnny Appleseed, we just talked about food and energy. Okay. And so forth. Imagine the million or 17 million vets put a hurting on EBT and make that a rally cry. You know, I know it's a concept and so forth, but it's like, have you had protein powder before with hemp? It's a lot better than whey, in my opinion. Go try it, you know?
Right.
And then you have homegrown hemp powder versus commercial or hemp powder and so forth. But once you try and be like, wait a second, I got Bud and he has 2 acres. Okay. And if you plant row, not tobacco style, okay, we're not looking for huge bushes and so forth. We're looking for the hemp and the bast in the herd, okay, being the fiber and so forth. And lastly, Canada, you know, again, 2018, they have X59 seed. It is a huge seed filled with oil. It's the highest yielding oil seed out there. Okay. And you don't smoke it to get high. You smoke it to burn. You smoke it to lubricate and so forth. And because Canada had that freedom, you know, roughly about 7 years ago in 18 and so forth, they are constantly sending agents across trying to disrupt that, because they're at their 40 million and so forth. We're at 330 million. They don't want this beast to start farming it, because we have a greater growth cycle and so forth.
Right.
And such, and we're going to be taking all that money away. And then you heard the threats about energy and so forth. It's like, nay, you know, once we get hemp to go for biodiesel in America, we'll have two sources of, self-generating process. But see, we got to get more people behind that motive of it's not about getting high. It's about energy, food, whole plant medicine, and health and wellness. Okay. Because those are the four reasons.
No, thank you for those four reasons. And that all boils down into two words. And it's hanging over your right shoulder. Don't tread. Stop treading on our right to take care of ourselves and to flourish in America.
Well put. That's all.
Joe, anything?
No, listen, guys, I stay out of this kind of stuff, man. I'm a grower. I just want to stick with the cannabis, man. But I guess I don't know much about this kind of stuff, right? And so the politics of it, listen, if I'm honest, man, being disabled like I am, retired like I am, I get paid handsomely from my government for what I've done for my country. I don't have the mentality nor the mindset to be on this battlefield with you, right? Because I tend to lose my temper. You guys can articulate yourselves and maintain your attitudes and your tempers. This isn't my lane, I assure you. And so I know this, and I sit back and I applaud you guys for doing this 100%.
And the reason it is because we know when they're bullshitting us.
Yeah.
But we don't file the paperwork. We just don't get them. It's like, our mentality. So that's why we need to stop isolating. Like you said in the beginning, Michael.
I'm one of those soldiers they try to decommission. Okay. Because it's not fruitful for them to piss me off, if that makes any sense. And there's many of us veterans out there that they intentionally try to keep down in the couch and quiet. Okay. And so
they send agents after you. Let's let's break that out. Those stuff are like agents that just get in your head and why aren't the lobbyists talking about agents? Well, they're part of the agent system, so they're compromised. And that's the really important thing is with Jason, 10th Mountain Army, he was like, Michael, I was about to lose my shit there when 36 federal agents raided my place because I was talking to him about recording his interview, and I was like, oh, well, you did a really good job. He was like, no, I was far from doing a really good job. So I appreciate that, Joe, in just really saying, that networking. Did you see? Did you watch? Hey, I'm not the battle buddy that we're asking for, but if you could recruit, and it's not, it's for self-serving. Make the plant free and allow the growers. We need the growers to do what you do. And it's like, okay, I have this much, seeds to go for, and where's your grow circle and such, and really fostering, they said outgrow the government and so forth. But we're dealing with what I remember in the fear, okay, versus the isolation and I just want to grow for myself. But if we can create the Johnny Appleseed and more grow circles and take away from the black market, the gray market, and the commerce side, and just make it, hey, you got some chickens? I got some Blue Saber. Okay, let's try some Blue Saber. Here's some chickens, and once we get to that barter mentality and get off cash and fiat currency, oh my goodness, that's what they fear. They just want us dependent and so forth. And like you said, go ahead.
Mike and I were talking, there's 17 million veterans. And we were just talking, what would you think out of that number, alive veterans, use cannabis either medically or recreationally or both? How many out of 17 million would you guess? What's the civilian ratio? Yeah. So as we said, 1 million. Well, I bet you it's more than that. 30%, that's 3 million people or whatever. How many millions of that is? That's 6 million people. Imagine 6 million veterans just walk on them, Washington, sit down in the monument area, Indian style. We're going to sit here and smoke weed until you change these laws. We're not leaving until we're going to sit here and smoke weed. Come get us all. 6 million. Let's go. You're like, how do you get that done?
But here's the joy of it is we don't even need to threaten. We have the equal protection motion.
But
okay.
They're not listening. They're
they haven't.
Stopping you.
Right. They haven't. I mean, we started in November because our hearing was taken away from us. Okay. And we're using our noodles and we're really saying that we are watching the government and we are able to report, observe and report, scout, right? We're doing all the recon, we're doing all the scout work and so forth. And we're able to report they're going to take the hearings away from you. No, they're not. They did. Okay, so we got precedent. We have, physical evidence of them using that administrative law judge court. So where we're going with this is in 2025 is the 55 years is getting corrected. And this is a correction. So then when you introduce people, it's like, are you with the correction or not? And, we first got to do first round and find all the people that get it. And then break off from that and have the recruiters that are more skilled and tactful to help that. But I think 6 million, that is a good number, and so forth to really, I was thinking about it last night, getting prepared for this. I was like, wait, 10% is 1.7 million and so forth. So if we do get 30% million, we're at that 6 million mark and such. And these are doable numbers, but they're doable by what we're doing here today. Networking, communicating.
Yeah. Can we get 6 million signatures?
6 million actions. It's signatures. It's sort of like with voting and no IDs and so forth. If we had 6 million, it's really, you think about it. How many people? We won't need 6 million motions filed. We will cripple. This is what Heidi talked about. Think about, what Heidi talked about. If we file in the courts, okay, and keep them having to address our paperwork, and then we have the Chevron decision, okay, that got repealed. So everybody is suing the DEA and so forth. But are they suing HHS that has the patent on cannabis in 1999? No. So this group here is identifying where to sue and not get caught up in green media, not get caught up with agents. This is the first time we really are having that kind of talk, and I'm very appreciative that we're having this opportunity. Okay, once you deal with the agents in the the industry, money, now. How can I make money now? And it's like, well, I could sell this, I could sell that, and it's like, wait a second, I'm just trying to grow my own and have my network of growers. So we're just moving good product amongst ourselves. And that's what we're trying to do for the veteran community. That 6 million community is outgrow the government, outpaper the government. And it's through the FOIA request, the opens records request, and the equal protection motions. Those 3 pieces of paper, okay, have a more devastating effect than petition. Right. Think about it. Okay. So we are flipping the script, and then there's other things, affidavit petitions. There's advanced levels of petitions that only, some people know about, but like John Gentry was on the floor of the Tennessee House, and he did an affidavit petition and so forth. So we got more tools, tips, and techniques. But again, we got to get through basic, and there's classes. It's like buds, and it's like we'll have, like UDT. Buds? Yeah, it's like, what class of UDT were you, and so forth.
Right.
Not that physical, but accounting.
I understand. Yeah.
the counting wise, and
Well,
like how that one guy was like, the guy couldn't remember his class number. You're always going to remember your class number.
absolutely.
And he called the guy out, and the guy faded off into the dark and so forth. But that's the thing, is like, if we get our class numbers and so forth, and it's like, well, did you get your basic done? Okay. Tell me about your affidavits, or tell me about your petitions, or tell me about your action alerts. I haven't gotten to that yet. Well, I think that's what a lot of basic was getting you ready for, right? And it's going to work. I feel it really is going to work, because there's not ego, there's not hubris, there's not pride involved. Okay.
Emotions.
We're going with, we know the laws and we know the abuses, and we're calling them out. That is the simplest playbook I've come across.
Yeah.
And I'm asking for help, and Jay's asking for help. Two libertarian guys, no girl on a website. I mean, that's really all it was. And if you know somebody, send them, park them, direct them. And as the weeks go by, okay, hey, we had a town hall. We had, we have frequently asked questions. We have polls and so forth. And it's really that response rate, though. Okay, we can produce all the content in the world, but if people don't say, hey, I want to file a motion, or, I want to talk about Nevada's 29th case and so forth, or the Halo law, and I want to go ahead and sue Nevada for monopoly. You can't tell me I can't home grow 25 miles from a dispensary. You are not crown and king. Okay. Right. And anybody who signed off on that law just breached basic economics, basic
constitutional
money
rights.
You got it. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to show and tell.
Michael, thank you for your work. Thank you for helping America and our veterans. Yeah. I'll continue to support you. I'll post whatever I see. I'll be researching and grabbing stuff and posting it other stuff. Whatever I can do, whatever sitcom that I can do, you let me know. We'll
do. We'll definitely. We're going to be in that collaboration. If Beyonce and Jay-Z can collab, we can collab, and we really are looking to collab.
I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I know I can afford to put a little chin out.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Keep up the good work, Michael. We appreciate you.
Thank you
so
like
much, me need people like you to do that kind of work, man.
And we need our growers, okay? And we're having a network of growers to start talking more with one another and get those seeds flowing and get the circles going. And we thank you for what you do. And Brian, thanks for being in the control booth and pulling this all together, because it takes team effort. Thanks again, guys.
All right, man. Take care. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.